didn't know that was a hotel.
Everything good?
Yeah, all good. I mean, Ramee's getting raided, but all good.
Oh, fuck.
All right. Welcome to the club, Ramee.
Yup.
Speaking of raid. Sofia, I asked you here because obviously at the dam there were a lot of emotions going on, a lot of feelings, a lot of testosterone, if you will.
Oh yeah,
and
there was a lot. Yeah, it's like being at home with all my brothers.
All of your 13 brothers, yes.
10, but yes.
10 brothers. Excuse me, 10 brothers. 13, 10. It's like all the same once you get to that many.
At that point, yeah.
And Hutch did most of the talking at the dam, and I had a chance to kind of replay the scenario and think about things a little bit, and I wanted to meet up with you again so we can kind of not regurgitate, not replay, but moreover try to get to the bottom of exactly what is going on with you. If for nothing else, then you are or were a very valuable employee for the operation that we're handling. And if for nothing else other than that, I'd like to give you the benefit of the doubt, if there is any. And
there is.
Let's find out. So, circumstances to our conversation earlier today when we were down at Dodo. Explain to me and Hutch both exactly what it was that you were trying to relay to me.
Okay, let me think. Well, I guess I'm gonna be quite upfront about this, Hutch. Let me think how to word this. I'm not, and I guarantee you that this is true what I'm about to say. I'm not too invested either way into if I am, perceived as a great criminal or a liability, one thing or the other. The only thing that I really care about is making sure that there's the things that take place only take place because of events that actually happen or things that I actually did. And that's what happened here today at the dam. And I did have an opportunity to speak to Locksley a bit about it and go over it in my head, go over the memory. And to be completely frank, and I say this with complete respect for you and Locksley, I never said anything about me possibly exchanging a deal with the police, boosting for coke or anything like this. Those words never came out of my mouth. The only incident that I ever spoke of was of the night that I was raided and Murphy was representing me, in which I said to Mr. Locksley, the whole conversation started because of Murphy last night when Francis and I were having a bench trial. I had a moment where I said to Murphy, Matt Rhodes calls me a weasel, but the problem with me is really that I'm way too honest, because the night that I was being raided, I basically openly said that I had C4 in my apartment, and Murphy said, "Shut the fuck up, okay? You can't say that." So I was, I was telling the story to Locksley, and I explained to him how the cops were trying to make a deal with me, that if I agreed to be raided without a judge having to consent to it or sign the warrant, they would go into my apartment, take my hacking device and my tracking disabler, and anything that has to do with boosting, and ignore everything else. They would take it, but they would not file charges. That is the only thing that was said. Right when I finished that sentiment, Mr. Locksley asked me, but wait, are the PD, trying to bargain, a word like that, some kind of deal with you where you exchange, information regarding coke for boosting or, / bin scratching? And I said very clearly, without hesitation, no. And I was very upfront about that. Without hesitation, I said no, because I did not want the conversation to even go in that direction.
Wait, what the fuck did you say?
Can I just, I'm only going to be 10 more seconds.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and I, given today's circumstances, I can tell you straight up that the only reason this is even being brought up now is because of what I believe to be a mutual love for the city. I don't think that it's okay for things to get to that degree that they do sometimes without actual facts and based on information that isn't factual. Now, my other concern is that that information is information that shouldn't have ever been anywhere, and it was put on me today, you know, without even questioning it or anything like that, and it became much bigger than it had to be. When in actuality, I genuinely believe that if you were to tell me, hey, look, the company is in jeopardy because of you getting raided, I agreed, and I would have also probably gotten in touch with Otto and been like, hey, I think you might need to move Ashino, and I guarantee you he would have no problem with it, because of me fucking up. You know, Lord knows that I am the worst criminal that's ever hit Los Santos. That being said, I don't think I deserve to be have just my character assassinated to the floor and back based on information that I never said. And I wouldn't wish that on you, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone else in the city. Hopefully you understand what how that would feel.
All right, now let me ask you a couple questions. First and foremost, I do understand your sentiment here, and that's why we're having a conversation now.
What?
You brought up the word cocaine to me, or coke to me earlier today. First, because I knew nothing about it.
Yes,
So,
I said I got raided with 36 bags of coke because I had 36 bags of coke.
Right, but I wasn't even aware of that. I thought the raid was relating to boosting. So when I implied that there and asked if there was a deal that was being made for information regarding the cocaine versus your boosting, that's where that information was derived from. So my question to you is this: what were you raided for? What were the charges?
I was raided because I had 36 bags of cocaine on me when I got caught boosting an A+ vehicle.
And this expediting of the warrant, did you agree to that?
No, it's
so
not.
that they
Chat. It's not OOC. She's saying
didn't have to wait for a
assassinated
judge?
my character, as in you assassinated my being. Like it's a figure of speech. It's not her character. It's like her character. It's not her in-game character. It's her character as a person.
If I agreed to have them search my apartment and take everything that was not related to boosting.
Her image, exactly. Personality, exactly.
He said, it's okay, I'll take everything that's not related to boosting and I'll just charge you with boosting related things as long as you agree to have your apartment raided without a judge having to sign the warrant, because they felt that they had
So they were in fact trying to make a deal with you, but not regarding cocaine information.
No,
it was more over a deal to, quite frankly, save them for paperwork.
The thing is, Mr. Locksley, that when I replayed, in my head the events of today, I was like, what went wrong here? I specifically said to you, word by word, right after you asked me the question, I said no. Instead, what they were doing, they were trying to save time by not having to have a judge sign the warrant for my raid that night. Instead of, me disagreeing with them and having them to go through the process of getting the warrant signed to my apartment. I made that very clear to you. And
what were the final charges that you ended up going to jail for?
Some intention to distribute or something like that, and just like having a dongle and a Grand Theft Auto.
So they didn't hit you with any of the boosting charges or anything?
Yeah, they did. Grand Theft Auto is boosting.
Well, Grand Theft Auto, did they take any of your boosting equipment?
Yeah, they took all my boosting equipment.
Did they take this alleged C4 that you had?
They did.
So they ended up going into your apartment after all and taking everything that they said that they wouldn't take if you offered them.
No, they said that I said it already. They said they would
take and not charge.
Me. Yes.
Take and not charge, but you never got charged with any of that stuff.
I don't. To my belief, no. The other things I was not charged with. They were true on their deal. But that's the only deal I've ever spoken to you about, and it's something that is on record. And I spoke to Vinny about it the very next day after it happened. I've spoken to Murphy multiple times about it since it happened. And to be frank, it kind of fucking became national news, if I'm being completely honest. So I'm surprised that you didn't know about it, but I never mentioned anything regarding Ashino and Ben scratching and the cops and any deals. Those words never came out of my mouth.
Well, yeah. This conversation had nothing to do with H&O. The only I don't know why H&O is currently being investigated. That's a conversation we need to have with the individual that advised us of that. We haven't yet to have that conversation. So I was asking if there was any insight to this code, because again, I didn't mention it initially. I didn't know about it. So I inferred that that's what the deal was trying to, like you were giving up the 36 or however many bags you had on you in lieu of not going to jail for boosting or something. I inferred that they were asking more of you than what they in fact were. I was thinking cops were actually being cops and trying to squeeze more out of it than what there actually was. And if that's the case, then that is my fault. And Hutch, I will take the hit for that.
I mean, again, like, listen, I think people confuse the whole thing of assumptions, right? To be 100% honest with you, Sofia, when you assume things, or whenever you have information that is given to you, assuming is the only thing you can do. It might come across as dumb or weird or whatever, but at the end of the day, the events that have happened led to the decisions that was made. There was no outside factors or anything like that. You got raided. H&O is under investigations. There's no other person it points at other than you, and there's nothing else that can point at it other than what has happened to you. So that was the reason why that you were not, I don't even want to use fired. It was just removed from the books, was because you are getting looked at. You're Otto Delmar's wife. Otto is literally probably the only businessman in the city who gets looked at more than anyone else. Otto gets looked at more than anybody. Otto's the dirtiest fucking I don't give a shit businessman in the city. I mean, look at the businesses he's part of. Casino, only business in the city to get completely and utterly fucking raided. Now, did he win the court case? Yes, he did. But Otto always gets looked at, right? Like, assumptions is the only thing that can keep you afloat, because if you don't assume things, if you don't get information and act upon the information, even if it's the smallest amount of information, you get fucked. That goes for everything. That goes for the drug world, cars, crime in general. Whenever you're sitting there, I'll give you an example even better. We had information that the lower vault was going to get hit. So we assumed when the lights went out in the city that, oh shit, the vault's about to get hit. We went up there and we robbed Marty, X, and Jack of $2 million. Did we know for a fact the vault was getting hit? No. But we assumed that it was, and we were right, and we robbed them. It's the same thing if you're defending yourself. If you assume that, okay, we are getting investigated, there's an entire fucking investigation on us, even if there isn't, and there very likely couldn't be. Like, we could wake up tomorrow or whenever, and H&O could have never gotten looked at, and there could be zero open investigation on it, and all of this, that, and the other. It could 1000% be true. You're not wrong on that. Like, maybe I am just freaking out for no reason. But at the same time, the way I look at it is this. I personally have never owned a business before. I am in 11 businesses, and I'm one of the head people of 8 of those 11 businesses, but I've never owned one. And whenever I sit here and I hear that a business is being investigated and I own it and it's my only one and I know how easy it is to lose it, Otto has told me very many times, basically, if we get fucking fucked, it's gone. If they find it, everything's gone. They get the bench, you're never going to have one again. They get the fucking toolkit, you're never going to get that either. So whenever I get a text that says, hey, you're getting looked into and so is your company, the only thing I can do is assume that the worst case scenario has happened, fucking Order 66, fire everyone who could have possibly had this happen or be anything part of it, and start anew. If I don't do that, and I'm like, oh, you know what, it is what it is, maybe it doesn't happen, blah, 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 then they come in and they fuck me. That's the difference.
Hutch, with, I understand everything that you're saying, and I actually agree with you on everything that you're saying. In fact, 90% of my conversation with Locksley today was about how you were completely in the right for having me off the books, and I genuinely didn't care, and I wasn't upset about it. And I mean, that stands true to this moment. Besides H&O, I do a lot of other things, maybe that you don't know about. I have other friends that I go and I do banks with, and I do other kinds of jobs with. H&O was basically like the thing that I was constantly on a flow of working towards, like I was constantly getting cars for, but not my like everyday, constantly in my face dealing with, because people only give in scratches once a week. Now, with all due respect, with everything you've said, I think that the most important part here, though, is that and what's not being addressed is that I agreed with everything you're saying right now to Locksley today, and I told them I don't want to be in the books moving forward. I don't like at all. I want to, if Hutch wants me to, I can continue to bring him in scratches and deals like the Mercedes with the girl, because I have access to it. I've gained access to it right to getting to where I am today, which is being fucking halfway through S+. I don't know many people that are there.
I think there's very few people in the city that is as connected as you are and can get their hands on vehicles like you. Look, there's no one arguing that. Me and Locksley and everyone else, like, trust me, there is absolutely no one who has worked for us or worked for us at all who does as good of work that you do.
Thank you. I guess what I'm trying to say is that my issue with what happened today, Hutch, and I'm trying to think of this, how to word this, is one, I wouldn't want it to happen to anyone else in the city, period, because I just think it's not okay to have your character assassinated based on information that you didn't say, that simply wasn't true to the level that it was, right? Because
it was inferred. It was never meant that you directly mentioned it, and we've cleared that up.
Mr. Locksley, I asked you, I said to you, Mr. Locksley, I think you might be misunderstanding, because really that's all. I mean, I walked in there by myself.
You have to understand, Sofia. I've never heard of anybody that got arrested with 36 bags of cocaine not get put on Hut for trafficking.
I didn't have any drug records before that.
It doesn't matter.
I know that, but that's 36 bags of cocaine.
Yeah, that's
a very, very large amount of a very, very highly classed.
If you get caught with a whole brick, like you're gone. You're gone for a long time. You got to take a plea deal, and like for example, Wayne just went to prison for the 9s, and it was his first drug charge, and he literally almost got everything taken. His business is everything. Which is why when you said cocaine to me, I gotta be honest with you, I was shocked, which is why I asked you the question, because I didn't know anything about it.
But Mr. Locksley, every single time that I went over this, it was so cut and clear, and the reason that it was cut and clear, let me just explain from my end, it was because I specifically avoided that. The moment that you asked that question, I felt very caught off guard by that question. Let's put it this way, right? I'm gonna do it, guys. I'm gonna do my very best to try to role play this out, okay? Listen, let's say, Mr. Hutchy, you have a spirit guide, like the ones that we have in Colombia that our grandmas always tell us about, like a guardian angel, right?
Okay.
And your guardian angel and I, Sofia, in another city, we, or maybe outside of the city, we talk about some of the things that Sofia goes through in confidence.
Okay.
But you don't know about that. Your guardian angel does. And then in the city, one day we have a conversation that has nothing to do with the information your guardian angel and I have spoken about. And suddenly it comes out of your mouth that you have that information. I'm like, wait, how? You're not supposed to know that. Ay, Dios mío, it's only your guardian angel that's supposed to know. How did this happen? That type of confusion is what I fear the most. So the moment that it was brought up, I immediately shut it down and I said, no. It was a raid. They were asking me to make a video that night of the raid, so I wouldn't waste more time there waiting for a judge to get a thing. Now, that is all in the past at this point, right? It doesn't matter because the events of today can be taken back. I want to make sure, if I can, to any ability, that moving forward, this doesn't happen to other people, because I don't know if you know this, coming into this city, being completely new is intimidating as fuck. And
what the fuck is she saying?
To even fucking make friends and build any type of connections or build yourself in the city. And when you go through sweat and tears 16 hours a day trying to build yourself, with no experience at all, and going through fucking roadblock after roadblock, most of them your own fault because you're learning and you're a dumbass at times that's up for 20 hours when you shouldn't be, to my own fault. I'm a fucking idiot that has made a lot of mistakes, but it doesn't take away the fact that what happened today, it's really fucked up because it's not something that I necessarily did that brought this into motion. Maybe what happened today would have happened a week from now as the natural progression of things happen, and I would be completely okay with that because I've made my peace that I'm not invested in anything one way or the other. I just go with the flow kind of thing.
What?
But when it's fucking mid-maxed, it's min-maxed on me, from 1 to 100 in 3 days, and I didn't have a choice in this, and I didn't really say anything, and I'm being accused of saying something I didn't say. I'm not okay with that.
But again, you gotta understand something, Sophia. I get what you're saying. Okay, you're very. It's very clear to me what you're saying. Everything that you're saying right now goes right back to what we talked about before. You said information, that information was misconstrued or whatever, and then what happened or what was said is what was said. There was no sitting there waiting for you to say one word, oh, let's jump on it and let's go from 0 to 100 and get this over now. There was none of that. Like, it was.
You don't think you guys went from 0 to 100 today?
No, not at all. Literally, absolutely zero.
I feel like had there not been already other information out there, it would have been a little tougher to swallow.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was already a lot. It was a lot of compounding factors. It wasn't
like,
just
I
example
can
A,
promise
it wasn't
you.
Just example B. It was all of them combined, kind of.
Yes, like you. I don't think you understand the severity. I don't even want to say don't understand. I don't think you. Listen, I understand. Obviously, we've both been in the city for a very long time, okay? I get that. And it is intimidating. I've been in your shoes, trust me. I've also been in your shoes in another life, getting people having zero information on what's going on and knowing 100% of what is happening, right? Like, I know exactly what you're saying. I've been there, I've done that. Trust me, I know. But the reality is that because you have the intentions of something going slower, doesn't mean that people around you can figure out what's happening and it goes faster. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, whenever I found out you got raided, I was never going to fire you. Like, I didn't plan on it at all. But then some cop opens up their mouth. That cop opens it up to the wrong person. That person then texts me. And then I find out what's happening. Again, just for you, I will read out the text that I got. Okay? Also, listen, also was being asked about H&O after I got arrested today. Seems like they want to know about it. They read off the names who works there to me and called it CG Company pretty much. That people don't just ask questions about companies randomly. Like, that's not a thing. Like, cops don't just go, oh, I wonder what this company is. Oh, I wonder what that company is. That doesn't just happen. Like, there has to be a reason. And then that led to
100%.
Okay, so that led to, how do they even know what H&O does? Then that led to, holy shit, maybe they do know what H&O does. Then that led to, holy shit, who told them what H&O does? Then that and it just keeps spiraling, right? You keep on thinking about it. Just because something happens doesn't mean I sit there and go, well, who knows what they know? It is what it is. No. I think of the worst possible thing. And Sofia, you are a very connected person. You basically run the cocaine world, and you are the biggest thing when it comes to scratching vehicles. Those two things tie. So if things are getting inferred or things are getting questioned about the company of H&O, it's the same thing for Coke. You got to understand, like, if people are asking questions, people are going to keep asking questions. Just because you squash one thing doesn't mean that it's going to be another thing or it doesn't lead to stuff. And again, we go back to inferring, right? I think this is going to happen, or I suggest this is going to happen, right? Like, it's just assumptions.
Hutchie, I don't want to interrupt you, but when you say the word inferring, it implies that I'm, like, trying to, in a way, like, dictate how fast or slow things go.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
No, that's not what.
I'm just saying that from my point of view, it's quite the opposite. Like, I actually, what has bothered me the most about this is that I never want to do that. You know, I want to let things kind of naturally progress how they will, and I never want to feel the weight of one thing or another thing in my shoulders. And also, actually, I just spoke to my bestie on the phone before I got here. I don't know, I have a bestie. I'm sure you guys have a bestie, right? My bestie, she's really good friends with Mr. Locksley's bestie Yager. And if they discuss anything, that my bestie speaks about with the police, possibly boss, who knows, in privacy, and then Mr. Locksley happens to repeat exactly word by word what happened between my bestie and his bestie, then I have to, at that point, say something, because at that point, it's not inferring, or like being a little bit, maybe assumptions. At that point, it's word by word what happened, and it's not just me that's involved in it. It's me and another person.
But again,
you know?
like what you're saying is exactly what other people say all the fucking time, right? If I'm sitting there and I'm driving around and someone else is driving around, they drive into Benny's, and then I say at that exact same moment, hey, let's go to Benny's and drive in there. Yes. Was it the same word? Sure. But it's there's a thing called coincidences.
Hutchie, what I'm saying is my bestie and Mr. Locksley's bestie have discussed this, and they both agreed that, you know, it wasn't something that was done purposefully, but 100% what was done wasn't right, because subconsciously the information was there already to be, you know, released or inferred on, but I never gave that information in any way, shape, or form, and the information was only there for my bestie. Because my bestie and Mr. Locksley's bestie actually get along really well, and they discuss many things, you know, about life, about the city, and things like that. So when that information, verbatim, word by word of the event that happened, comes out of Mr. Locksley's mouth, and I'm just kind of shocked and I don't know what to say. I don't know if you noticed at the time, I didn't know how to react. You know, I kind of just got a little bit stun-locked, because I didn't know how to navigate that situation. Because I knew that what Mr. Locksley was saying was not something that came out of my mouth, but I knew that it was something that possibly could have been implanted by a microchip when he got abducted by his bestie alien. And it was too perfect into the dot exactly what, you know, our besties talked about. So I'm not here to really argue the semantics of it back and forth. I think Mr. Locksley and our besties, we have spoken, and it's just a fact, you know, and it's a fact that can be denied, but it doesn't mean that I think it was done on purpose, and it doesn't mean that I think it was done with the purpose of, you know, fucking siding with one side or progressing one side better. I think the human mind is the human mind, and it's gonna, if you have some information, it's very easy to jump to assumptions. The only reason we're even standing right here right now is because when that meeting happened with Mr. Locksley and I, nothing even remotely close to what I was accused of today came out of my mouth. If I had kind of wishy-washy said a little bit of it, then it would make more sense. But nothing even remotely close. And when it was inferred to me by Mr. Locksley, I immediately shut it down, because I knew that our besties were having secret talks about these things, and I didn't want that to ever,
this is getting weird,
you know,
man,
coming to the city, because it's not our, you know, it's not our responsibility to talk about it. We need to mind our own business. Como dicen en Colombia, no sean chismosa, don't be so nosy. It's none of your business. You know, let the besties talk about it. So that's why we're here right now. Doesn't mean that I'm looking for anything to change. On the contrary, I really, you know, I have other plans, and this is not the end of the world for me in the slightest. I just feel that in a way, not bringing this up, I bringing it up here between us in the city was the better route. And it was something, and because I know everyone here loves the city, right? I'm in the city fucking 14, 16 hours a day, and I love it, and I try to get better every day and become a better, you know, citizen of the city. I know you love it. I know he loves it. But I would never want this to happen to anyone else, because I know that I know now how it feels. And you know, sometimes those little demons in your head, Mr. Hutchie, I know you know that sometimes they can be assholes. But situations like this, where information that shouldn't be out is out,
fuck you, chat,
and you're blatantly being accused, then it becomes tens of thousands of little demons that swarm you with nothing but hatred due to this information that you didn't even really put out, that you didn't really say. That's just a blatant lie. And I don't think that's okay. And I would never want it done to you, and I would never want it done to Mr. Locksley or anyone else for that matter. You know, I want there to be integrity in whatever we do in the city.
I can tell you this, Sofia. Listen, I can tell you this, okay? Out of everything you just said, especially about little demons, there will be absolutely nothing you do in the city, and I truly do mean this, and I'll end this on this. There will be nothing in the city that you ever do, if it is anything crime related, that those little demons won't come. Like, it just happens. Trust me, I'm at war with fucking X. You have no idea what it's like. Like, you're dealing with 20 to 30, I deal with thousands, and it's every single fucking day. Trust me, it's the worst thing that is part of the city, and it will always be part of the city. But I get it. I hear what you're saying. We'll leave it at that. I don't even want to talk about it anymore.
Okay, more like 300 to like 600, sometimes more. Okay, no, 20 to 30. Come on, don't undermine my accomplishments. Just kidding.
But no,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah.
There's no bad blood, you know. I'm happy that there was. If one thing came out of this, it was, you know, that we found or you guys found a solution for dealing with, you know, whole inquiries into Shnoze, and that makes me really happy. I will speak to Otto independently about this because he's gonna want to know what the fuck happened, and I will explain it to him because I'm not gonna lie as his wife and say that I said something that I didn't say, but I'm also not gonna lie and keep anything from him. So I just tell him what led to this event, and yeah, everything's cool. I have no bad blood between us.
Bro, what in the absolute fuck just happened?
Something. I'm one call away. I still have that deal for the lady. You might want to take her number for her sake because that's something that I don't think you should pass up on, especially if you have future plans for the business. But yeah, everything's good. I'm happy with this resolution, and I'm confident that moving forward, hopefully, shit like this doesn't happen. I'm sure it'll happen again, but not very often.
All right, so yep, sounds good. Still glad we had that talk? What the fuck was that?
My brain was playing for the last 10 minutes of that conversation.
Bruh. That goes down as top 5, one of the weirdest conversations I've ever had.
1,000%.
That was
could have been handled in a 1,000 different ways, except for that one.
That was remember when I was telling you about that phone call me and her had?
Yeah.
That was that phone call times 1,000. So
yep.
I'm gonna go ahead and go back to what I said. She can keep the cars, and
let's just move on.
Yeah.
I think we just we move on from that.
Yeah. Yeah.